And we're connecting. And we are live with Michael. Is it Barrow or Barrow?
Barrow, like arrow with a B on it.
Michael Barrow of Dan's Comp. So, we met a couple weeks ago and we talked about doing this live stream and talking about Dan's and your role at it and, talking about Dan's before changes in like structure of the business and uh, talking just about all kinds of different things. So before we get into any of that, can you just give me the rundown on your job and what you do at Dan's Comp?
Oh, geez. Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Uh, Basically, if it deals with marketing stuff, the short answer is if it deals with marketing at Dan's, I've got my hand in it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, YouTube, social media, advertising, anything like that. I probably have my hand in it in some way. Catalogs, stuff like that. So a little bit of everything, team stuff, all that. So it's fun. I enjoy it. It's a little bit what I've done before, but now I've transitioned to it where it's like full time.
Nice. So, um, you're also in the videos on the YouTube channel. And what did you do before at Dan's? Was it the same thing? Because I knew you were in the videos before things changed too, weren't you?
Yeah, it's funny when you look back at those videos now. I kind of like cringe because it's like, it's so bad. I'm sure you're probably the same way. If you look at back videos from like 7 years ago, you're like, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah, I think most people who are like conscious people are like, oh yeah, I'm way better than I used to
Yeah,
be.
but yeah, I did that. I also did a lot of the rebuying. So I had particular brands that I work with, and just you know, bringing in product for that. I wrote the descriptions and did the specs for the catalog and the website. So anything like frame specs, chainstay links, like I was out there pulling the frame off the shelf, measuring that, and it's always funny like coming across like the manufacturer spec and then the real deal spec.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's always a miscommunication between the brand and the actual manufacturer because a lot of it's made in Taiwan.
Right.
And, so something's usually off, and we were typically the first people to really let a brand know of that.
That
So that
is
was
interesting.
pretty interesting.
That is really interesting, and I didn't want to dive too deep into anything before we did the myth busting, but I kind of am curious now because I have noticed that on Dan's, when I'm looking for like geometry of things, there are differences between what the website of a company says and what like different mail orders have listed as well. And I didn't realize that like there was some actual footwork behind that.
Yeah,
That's that's pretty cool.
P2 heights, chainstay lengths, those were the big ones. Weights were huge, especially during the mid 2000s when everyone was like a weight weenie for the most part. I say
Mm-hmm.
everyone, but that was like this when everyone was really big into the super lightweight stuff. We would weigh these frames or forks or whatever they were, and this is the real weight. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So that's honestly, I think that's where it started. That was before my time out there, but I think that's where they started. Of like, okay, we need to start doing everything ourselves because whether it be just a brand trying to not like calling anybody out, but maybe they were weighing something without it being painted, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, or a
And
sample.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there's
They made
definitely discrepancies that can happen throughout the manufacturing process, and sometimes things get forgotten about through the thing, and they may have weighed something. Like, I mean, working with Alienation, there have been times where I've weighed stuff for the guy after he sends me the sample because, like, well, it's we need that information, and I
yeah,
have the sample now. Uh, so we mentioned myth busting. This is one of the ideas that came up with when we were talking in person, and I think this is super fun and just a cool way to be transparent, and just that like
yeah,
everyone knows that there are things said about Dan's comp especially from before they were bought out. And I guess
Yeah.
before we even get to the myth busting, can you give some like details? Oh, your camera froze again.
Oh,
Oops. Here.
because you froze for a second, and then I guess I'm froze
All
now.
right, here. 2 seconds. We'll fix this real quick. Uh, as I'm saying here, he'll be back in 2 seconds. So, as I was saying, Dan's comp kind of like faded away a little bit, and then they were. Can you take it from there?
About how like the transition under the new ownership.
And just what that might be for someone who has no idea that anything changed at all.
Okay. Yeah, man, 2017 or 18 is when things started really struggling over there under the old management,
Mm-hmm.
and so they were looking for a buyer. And during it was very tail end of 2019, it was purchased by A-Main, and a lot of people know the name A-Main from A-Main Hobbies or A-Main Cycling. Um, but it was kind of cool, which was one of the reasons when because I'd already left before then,
Mm-hmm.
because I was already in another position outside of BMX. I had a good career going and everything. I was not looking to get back into the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, I still rode all the time, but you can't stop that. But I was well just out of the industry, and I wasn't planning on going back in. But a longtime Dan's employee and like mentor of mine, who's been there since God the '90s, and he was actually the reason. He's honestly like a big reason why Dan's got so big or is as big as it is. And he was the one that actually transitioned them into freestyle, because before that's how Dan started. Dan Duckworth was he would vend other races, and then they brought. I'll just say his name's Frank. I'm not going to mention, but the guys that are in the industry, they know Frank.
Yeah.
And he he rode freestyle, and he really got Dan to start selling the freestyle parts. And to me, like Frank is Dan's, and he transitioned from old Dan's to the quote unquote new Dan's, and we'll get into that. But yeah, he transitioned with it, and like I said, they asked me. So it was the tail end of 2019 is when they were purchased, and I talked to them, and I think I got back on in October of 2020, and a lot of it was because of what they were telling me of his exact words, where we want to get the band back together.
Mm.
So he's like, we got Frank, we want you, we want to get several of the OG Dan's guys back, and essentially hand you guys the keys back to it and run it how you want to run it.
Nice.
And that was a huge moment for me of like, okay, yeah, they're doing things the right way. And I found out that they were actually the higher up at A-Main is actually his kids raced. So he actually would buy stuff from us when we were vending at the races.
Mm.
So he was already a customer of ours.
Yeah.
And I later find out that there's actually a pretty good BMX scene in Chico where they're located. So they already had 3 BMX dudes like already working there.
Nice.
So I was like, man, this is actually, and then Frank, like the fact that he transitioned with them, and he was like, yeah, I really think you should do it, because like they're getting back the way like things should be. So after that, like I was like, well, if I don't do this, I'm going to kick myself for not trying,
Mm-hmm.
and just trying to see how it works. And it's been great so far. I really appreciate everything A-Main has done for us. And what I tell people is it's the same like core brand, but we have a much better backing now to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's cool to hear. And on that note, we talked about this myth busting thing because there's some people who have their ideas about Dan's Comp and their preconceived notions of what it is and what Dan's Comp does or means or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody who's watching right now who has any of those, feel free to leave that in the chat and we can make it part of the myth busting. But you kind of feel like being the marketing guy. I mean, you've heard it all probably.
Oh, yeah.
So like, let's hear some of those top like we call this myth busting because there's these myths out there that people think about Dan's comp that might
Yeah.
not necessarily be true.
The big one was always Dan's didn't have a showroom, or like Dan's didn't have BMX staff, which was always a weird one to me because like, how do you run a BMX company and not have BMX riders on your staff? But Dan's was actually my local shop.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've ever been to the Mount Vernon store, I don't. Did you ever go out there with
Mm-mm.
one of our jams? We did several
No.
parking lot jams. Um, but I think it was always funny because people would travel when we started doing those. People would travel out there and they're like, "Oh, this is like any other regular bike shop," and that's we just had a giant warehouse attached to it. But literally, the warehouse was just. I mean, the showroom was just tiny little room that had some BMX bikes on the showroom floor and had some frames, some parts. The rest of it was, the typical stuff that you'd find at any other local bike shop, like Mountain Road. So yeah, it was always my local shop, and it was always cool. I always thought that was funny though that it wasn't. People always said that we didn't have a showroom,
Yeah.
and the fact that we didn't have riders on the staff when we legitimately had like advertisements and props videos of the guys riding the ramps behind Dan's.
That is funny.
And like, you can see the Dan's logo in the background, like on the building. I just
Yeah.
thought that was always funny.
That that is pretty funny. So, as what other big ones were there?
Let's see, Dan's being corporate owned. That was always funny because it's always been private owned, other than Dan sold it in I think 2000 or 2001, like early 2000s.
Yeah.
He sold it to CCS, or I should say, I think it's Alloy, which also owns CCS skateboards.
Okay.
And that's the only time, that was only for a few years, very short years. That's the only time I think it was ever considered corporate, quote unquote. And they quickly realized that they can't run it like a corporate business. So guys that already worked there ended up purchasing the business back.
Mm.
And so, and that again was still early 2000s. And ever since then, even now under AMAIN, it's all privately owned.
Okay.
So there's no like big investor behind it or anything like that. It's a privately owned business. It's just a guy and his wife that owns AMAIN,
Yeah.
and that's it. And like I said, they had already had BMX riders on the staff and had a good history with bikes in general.
Yeah.
Like my direct boss skateboards and rides mountain bikes, and he's the head of marketing at AMAIN. And then all the Dan's guys were all riders ourselves, and obviously we're at Dan's under AMAIN.
Right.
So,
Right. That's
I'm
interesting. There's one thing they didn't give any context, but just said the codes. Talking about discount codes.
yeah,
They
I'm not-
always had crazy codes you could use. Yeah, it seemed like there was always some kind of code
yeah,
like craziness going on.
I won't get into why that was. There wasn't any. The people that were there know the reason behind it, but worked out for customers. But yeah, it was a bad decision having that many things going at one time, that deep a discount, and that ended up. I know why they did it, but it also ended up hurting them in the long run.
Yeah. Okay.
We still do all the codes now, but we're very more aware and selective of what we do.
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, it was pretty crazy there
Yeah.
for a while, and I mean, like, so I mean, from your experience, how are things? Man, this is a hard thing to ask. So, like, when did you start working there? That would help.
Like start working at Dane's and
The
Journal.
first time ever, yeah.
Oh, I want to say 2006 or 7.
Okay, so you
I
were
think-
there, like, when things were popping off.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so like, what did the process of things? I mean, I don't know how much this can even be talked about or what is behind it, because I don't know anything. But I just asked a
Yeah.
question. So, what did it look like as things started to take a turn downward, like what even brought that upon?
That's the thing. I don't think there's any one thing that did it. It
Okay.
was a snowball effect. Some of them were just bad business decisions, but a lot of it was them trying to do so much to support the industry. And we never talked about this, and I know why we didn't talk about it, but I feel like at this point it is something that, because I guess that goes back to our rumors thing of like Dan's doesn't support the industry or anything like
Yeah.
that. I always felt that always was me. For me, I never understood that because we would sponsor grassroots stuff. We would sponsor, you know, this big team. We would sponsor big events like Dew Tour, Texas Toast, stuff like that. But we were also, there were a few brands that were struggling even before the old Dan's was struggling. And we were essentially paying to keep them afloat. And I'm not going to like name any names or anything like that, but these are to us and still to this day, like those are our friends. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We've been in this thing with them since the beginning. And so if they're struggling, we're going to try to help out. And we certainly did. I don't know to what extent, but I know that it was to the point where, we were really helping these guys get their parts brought in, like prepaying for everything up front.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I know that ended up kind of hurting us. And then there was a big port strike at the time, right before Christmas, which everyone knows in retail, like Christmas, the holiday season is huge for anybody in retail. And there was a big port strike, so we didn't have good inventory at that time. Everything had to be paid for up front. And at the time, BMX in general was starting to tank. I wouldn't say a tank, but it started going downhill for sure, just sales in general across the board. And like I said, that was just a snowball effect that they dug a hole that they couldn't dig themselves out of.
Yeah.
So some of it, I'm sure it was bad business decisions, but a lot of it, I really do think, and I'm trying to think of when I left, like 2017, I think is when I left, somewhere right around there. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Like this is something's going on here. Um, that's why I just decided to go ahead and go and part ways, obviously on good terms. But yeah, I think a lot of it was just them trying to do beforehand, trying to do so much to help out these brands, to help out the industry as a whole, that it did end up kind of backfiring. Not that it was a bad decision to support these brands that were potentially struggling or anything like that, because like I said, those are our friends.
Right.
But it did, end up kicking them in the ass, sort of thing, at the end there. Just like I said, that hole they just couldn't dig themselves out of.
Right.
Nobody's fault, I don't think. They definitely made some bad decisions at the very, very tail end. And I honestly, to this day, I have no idea what happened. Amy has no idea what happened. But that was another reason why, when they contacted me to come back, I found out what they were doing for those customers that were affected by what had happened at the very end there, like people not getting their orders, not getting contacted. Amy had no clue what was going on. Like, they took over the business, but they had no record of those orders, nothing. So people were calling in, they were emailing, like, what the hell is going on? Like, where's my order? And to Amain's credit, and this is what really kind of pushed me over the edge of hearing this from an outside source and also from Amain themselves, is we took care of those customers regardless. Like, even though we didn't have any of their money, no proof of their orders, we wanted to make it right because it was the right thing to do. So I'm sure they sent out more than what people actually purchased, but at that point, like, who cares? You know what I mean? They wanted to make it right. They didn't have to, but they really wanted to.
Yeah.
So anybody that called in, they're like, okay, you ordered this, we're sending it to you right now, or hey, we don't have it, you want to substitute it, or we'll just refund you right now.
And they absolutely didn't have to do that either.
No, but it was the right thing to do for sure.
Yeah, that's I mean, what how could you fault any of that? Because then they had no idea, and they
Yeah.
just did it based on like an honor system, and at that point I feel like most of the people who were probably calling in were people who were wronged that far that they like still were sticking with it, less than like, someone who's just like, oh, this company got bought out. Like, how many, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't probably the frequency. I don't know what I'm even trying to get at there. It's just like, I feel like there probably wasn't a ton of people screwing them over with stuff they didn't actually order.
Yeah. But I mean, there's no way to prove that. And like I said, at that point, who cares? We're going to try to make it right for you. Like,
Yeah, that's just
regardless.
awesome to hear. So,
Yeah. That's what really kind of pushed me over the edge of like, all right, let's do this thing. You know what I mean?
yeah, and like, there's still this negative connotation to the phrase Dan's comp that floats around out there with people who just haven't, who don't know,
Yeah.
and who maybe have that experience or just were in the know of or heard things when stuff started to go south. And that's part of why I wanted to have you on here, is to like do this myth busting and
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
yeah, and just
Those are
kind of
good questions.
yeah, get the
we,
word
I
out
mean,
there.
yeah. And I mean, we're fully transparent with it. Like, we're not trying to hide anything. Like, this is what we know happened. And like, nobody, that's the other thing is they've never tried to hide any of that because, like I
Mm,
said, that happened before. And so there was obviously that stigma. And I don't think we did a very good job before of really, and I think that's why the Dan's, for the longest time, it certainly got better for several years, but before Dan's had that stigma of being like a corporate company, and I think it was just because they weren't super transparent
yeah.
about just the business in general. So that everyone thought like some, I shouldn't say everyone, the people that had no clue just assumed that it was like a bunch of suits or something like that, when literally it's like a, just a call center and a warehouse, a showroom, and everyone's riding bikes, they're tattooed, like what I
Mm,
mean, like it's not a, it's a BMX company, always
right.
has it.
Yeah, I mean, with what you're saying, I could see how it would very easily get misconstrued, or just if there's nothing else there, then it's
Yeah,
easy to like whatever you come to in your head. There's nothing to argue against it. So like, well, if that's what it seems like it is, that's what it is.
yeah. So I think we've done a really good job, especially after the last few years under AMain, of just being super transparent with that, because like I said, we are writers, like
Yeah.
so that was a big thing for me of doing a lot of the marketing stuff with bands is be transparent, be upfront with people, like, because we're literally the same. All of us are writers, so
Yeah.
it is.
Uh, so let's see here. Uh, there's a couple things coming through here on the chat that I definitely want to talk about. I do want to say, like, this isn't to say that like Dan's comp is perfect and nothing ever goes wrong, because
No, yeah, yeah,
nothing can be that way. If you're being realistic, obviously nothing is perfect and things go wrong. So like, we're not trying to be like, oh, everything's perfect and nothing ever goes wrong ever. Like,
yeah. I mean, that's anything. Our competitors, like, it's something always at some point something's going to come up, and
yeah,
a lot of times it's just you don't have the full story. Like, I can't speak for them or anything, but that's a lot of it. That's what it is. You hear one side of it, and it's like, well, actually, this is the full story, and this is
mm-hmm.
why this happened.
Right. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that after we gave all that praise. It's like, I'm not trying to say that
Yeah,
anything's perfect. I'm just trying to, like, just, I don't know the word. I'm get rid of myths. We're myth busting. Uh,
yeah.
but a couple things in the chat here. So somebody called Taco Slurpee said, Dan's came through majorly for me during the shutdown and parts shortages. My local shop was dried up, so I grabbed a complete from Dan's and threw on some aftermarket parts. So it's just cool to hear.
Oh,
And
hell yeah.
then
Thank you.
Stony, old fat guy BMX. He's on YouTube. You may have seen that. his channel before. He said, I bought a complete that had a bad axle from Dan's. They sent me a whole brand new wheel to ride until the stock wheel came in, and I got to keep both. I swore by them ever since.
Oh yeah, that's the kind of stuff that like. So another guy that used to work at Dan's, he was a wheel builder, also worked in customer service. He did a lot of the race stuff too, and he rides freestyle. He's been on the channel. His name is Derek, but he works in customer service. And he's like, man, I always thought we had pretty good customer service before, but he's like, under aiming, like they really try to go above and beyond.
Yeah.
And that's always kind of been their MO. Now, obviously there's like you said, nobody's perfect. Sometimes things happen, but we certainly try to do everything that we possibly can.
Yeah. And that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So then there's another question here. I didn't read it fully to understand it, but I'm just going to read it anyway. Has there been anything said about the distribution of support in the industry being spread a bit more after everything happened with Dan's comp? Like people buying local or just from different people? I feel like naturally that would just happen when you have something as big as Dan's kind of fade a little bit. Like people are not going to just stop buying parts. So
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit, but I think they probably just ended up moving to during that downtime of when Dan's was completely restructuring, that they probably just went to our competitors because that's always been a thing of like I said, Dan's was always my local shop growing up, and but we've always been like more than happy to help shops out if they had questions and stuff. Because here's the thing is sometimes we get the backlash from shops, and I get it, but at the same time is a lot of these shops, and we hear this from customers, so it's not like just me like bullshitting. Like we actually hear this from customers is like my shop does not support BMX.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately that's huge. Like a lot of shops do not support BMX.
Right.
Because you think of BMX, or I should say bicycles as a whole is huge, but BMX is this tiny little sliver of the pie, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so it doesn't make them any money. So why would they carry it? So unless there's actually a BMX rider there or a BMX scene, just a lot of shops just don't carry it. And that's kind of where we come in.
Yep.
And so we've sent multiple people, like if they have an issue, and then I know Amy has done this. So if somebody's had an issue with like, we sent them a part, they didn't quite know how to install it, or maybe there was an issue installing it. We've sent them to their local shop. Like we found them a local shop, like go here. And if they have an issue, have them call us directly. And we will be like installing a gyro is a big one.
Yeah.
So we'll have like a tech on the phone with that shop, like this is what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Or if there's been an issue where somebody like I'm just throwing out scenarios that I know I've heard from customer service. Like somebody got a bike, and we check all the bikes going out beforehand to make sure that that's one thing that we do that a lot of companies, as far as I'm aware, no other mail order does this, is if you order a complete bike from us, we actually have a few techs that one of their sole responsibilities is taking the bike out. They can't fully assemble it, obviously.
Right.
But we're going to check to make sure the stem bolts have grease, check to make sure the spindle bolts are tight, stuff like that on a BMX assembly line made in Taiwan or China, wherever it's made at. Sometimes that stuff gets overlooked. So we want to make sure that it's like ready to go as possible for you. But I know we had a situation where somebody got a bike and the back wheel was just screwed. Like it got damaged in shipping somehow. It's obviously it's all packaged, but you never know how FedEx or UPS sometimes handle it. So their back wheel was completely screwed. It's like, okay, here's the bike shop near you. Have them go through it, and they're like charging $50 to tour a wheel. But like we're gonna completely reimburse you. Like just have them do it. Send us the receipt. We're sending you. Like we'll Venmo you or however they ended up doing it.
Yeah.
Or actually, I think what they ended up doing is refunding part of it from the credit card.
Okay.
So yeah, like things like that. It gives me confidence in what we're doing.
Absolutely. That's all great stuff to hear. And I think that the more that would get talked about, the more positive experiences people have and hear about, that the more the whatever that's out there will fade and shift.
Yeah.
I mean, even just the other day, I was riding and I heard people talking about buying parts and stuff, and I literally heard someone say, "F Dan's Cup," and like, part of me wanted to turn around and be like, "Well, actually," and the other part of me was like, I do not have time for this right now. I'm just gonna let him go, and if like me another time, because I don't, I know, like,
Yeah.
I don't have 30 minutes to have the conversation we're having.
Yeah. God, I remember. So this is funny. I flew out to Chico, where Dan's is located now, and I don't remember the exact scenario, but I was riding the local park at Chico, and I heard some dudes talking shit about Dan's,
Yeah.
and they looked like just this group of like 4 or 5 dudes, and they're like saying that we don't have anything in stock and this and that. It's mainly about stock, if I remember right. Like we only stock this brand and this brand,
Mm,
and this was like right in the middle of COVID, which everyone was out of stock on everything. Like
yeah.
I'm sure you know how it was. Like
Yep.
it was nuts. Like the
Hmm.
lead times on everything was nuts. Anything that came in immediately went out. Like we brought in literally as much stuff as we possibly could to what, but the brands, the manufacturers, they're like, this is literally all we can get.
Right.
And of course, they're trying to allocate stuff to, we can't take everything.
Yeah.
Like, they got to be as fair as possible.
Right.
But it was just funny because I didn't say anything, but I was wearing a Dan's hoodie, and they all like simultaneously looked over at me in the Dan's hoodie. And I guess they had known that Dan's was now over there in Chico,
Yeah.
and they're like, Are you from Dan's?" And I just kind of laughed. I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "What's going on?" And so I explained it to him, like like the whole supply and demand and COVID,
Right.
all the stuff that was going on at the time in the middle of COVID. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, that totally makes sense." And like they apologize. I'm like, "No, it's like it's fine, man. Just like that's the story." Like,
Well, that's, dude, that's, I would guarantee, I'm not even gonna try and pretend to cover it up at all. I would almost guarantee that most of the misconceptions people have in general in life are from just like absolutely no hands-on experience, and just like, oh, this is what I see, I'm just assuming that it's this way, and or I hear one thing and then just it spreads like wildfire from there,
yeah,
because it's so easy to just like see things being a certain way, and because you don't have all the information, you can't like make all the connections that need to happen. It's
yeah,
just easy to do. Everyone does it. We all do.
yeah. You get this assumption in your head, and that's where you go without knowing the full story, the full backstory, what's going on.
Right. And I
But yeah,
mean,
you're right. Everyone does it to some extent.
usually it's a reasonable, understandable explanation. Sometimes it's not, and
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's why I approach things the way I do, and try to have talks like this where we can hear, like, there's people in the chat and they might have experience. Well, we can bring that up, and you have personal experience being there in a really great time as it fades, went away. Now you're back in the current. Were you referring to like new and old Dan's as like previous owner, current owner?
yeah.
Okay.
I guess I should clarify that. Previous ownership, new ownership.
Yeah, so you were just calling it New Dan's because the new owner and stuff.
It's newer,
I want.
like I'm doing a lot of air quotes tonight.
It's okay.
But yeah, new management since the very tail end of 2019.
Yeah,
Like
understood.
like very tail end of 2019.
Yeah, so that's just the importance, I think, of having multiple sided conversations and understanding that all of these different sides do exist, and try and cover everything possible. And that's all part of this transparency thing that you talked about, and just being as transparent as possible,
Yeah.
which we know BMX is not all the time. just the way it
Yeah,
is.
no, for sure. That's like I said, that's for me, that's what I really want to get across. Just the company in general, just make it like really show like who we actually are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we did a very good job of that beforehand.
Somebody just said the old website was easier to use. I mean, that's good feedback.
Yeah, I
I
to some degree I do agree because it's been like that for so long.
You guys should just go back to the OG Dance Comp website with a list of everything on the left side.
Oh yeah,
I remember that website. I ordered and got this shirt when
hell
I
yeah.
from that website.
We should do that for. See how we can do that for April Fools is make it look like the old site.
Oh my gosh, dude! I
Feel
have a
like
drawer beside
we
me.
had to change at some point. There was that period too, which certainly didn't help. Where they changed because they were already. That's when things were starting to go downhill.
Yeah,
Then we changed the website, which fully good intentions, but the layout that we chose just ended up not. And I mean, we did all the testing and everything, but when it finally launched, it for whatever reason, it just didn't really translate as well as what we wanted to.
yeah,
And for us, because we worked in it for so long, building the new website, that we knew how to navigate it really easy, and to us it made sense. But like everyone else, it had been the same website for over 10 years.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And a drastic change like that.
It's very easy
Yeah,
to.
it's much better now. It's much better now.
I'm looking at it right now. I don't. It seems
It seems like any
okay.
other website
Yeah,
that's, you know,
it's good. Do you guys still do free T-shirts?
no, we've talked about doing something like that, and don't never say never, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
We do a lot of free T-shirts on, like if you go to an event that we sponsor, and we sponsor a lot of them,
yeah.
chances are you're going to get a free shirt at some point.
Okay.
But yeah, no free shirts in orders right now. But the fun thing that we're doing now is we're doing like limited edition stickers.
Oh,
So we've
nice.
got a bunch of like pop culture reference stickers that we're doing.
That's
So we've
always
got
been a thing, for
Yeah, so
sure.
we've always done like the sticker stuff, and sometimes there would be pop culture references in there, but now it's like a hard limit of this is limited edition because it's like we did a Stranger Things one when Stranger Things was
Yeah,
super big.
nice. That's awesome. I remember the Pokemon one. Dude,
That's
that's always
hilarious.
been a thing. That was like, what cool stickers am I gonna get in this Dan's catalog or this Dan's order?
I will say I'm very that was my one contribution beforehand of sticker design, and a lot of the people there just didn't get it. And
That's
I'm like,
funny.
no, like this would be awesome. And sure enough, like we did the stickers, and we had team riders like, give me a whole pack of them.
All right, I have to. I'm gonna grab something. Tell a Dan's comp story.
Oh
It might
God,
take me 1 second.
worry. How do you put me on the spot like that? Oh Jesus.
Do you have
Dan's
one?
comp story.
Yeah.
Give me like a scenario at least. There's so many. Oh man. Yeah, God, you put me on the spot. Honestly, there's so many stories that I don't even.
Dude.
Stuff from Interbike, stuff from U-Tour trips. God, I
Uh,
have no idea.
so
Give me a topic.
that's okay. Is Matt Wilhelm the longest sponsored rider from Dan's?
He probably was. He no longer rides for us anymore. We talked to him a little bit to try to get him back in some aspect of it. So maybe I actually need to talk to him again and see if he might be interested. But Matt, I've met Matt. So, oh hell yeah,
You met Matt?
I've met Matt a few times, and he's so nice. Here, let me hold on 1 second. I'll show you my stash.
I literally have all of the Dan's comp stickers that I got as a kid right here. Like, there's the Pokemon one.
Oh, nice.
Did you
Yeah, I've
guys?
got this bag is full of old stickers that we did.
All right, I'm gonna go through some of these because this is just
There's
fun.
yeah, Pokemon right there.
Let's see. Random fork question: do the Odyssey F32 forks with 990 mounts also come in chrome? Correct. Yes, they do.
So product questions. I don't. I'm glad you know that because
Yeah, I can answer
product
that
stuff
one.
anymore because I don't work directly with the products like I used to.
Yeah.
I have to. I'm not as on top of that as I used to be.
Man, I
If it's a
must
new
be.
product, sure, but discontinued or older stuff, yeah.
I always loved this one. I had a shirt with this on it, the lightning bolt
Oh yeah.
Dan's logo. And this is the thing. Like as a kid, I ordered from Dan's so much, just like everybody else did.
We've got a lot of good ones coming for
Ooh.
sure.
Oh, my camera finally died on me. All right. Give me 2 seconds, people. I have to make a switch here. Yeah, so, wait, you saying you have a lot of good
We've got a
stickers
lot of
coming?
yeah, we've got a lot of new sticker designs coming that are like the limited edition ones. A lot of I shouldn't say all of the limited editions, but if you go to an event that we sponsor, there's a good chance we'll have those limited edition stickers there.
Right.
This one it's kind of crude, but so during it was April 1st, we did an April Fool's joke where we did OnlyFans, but it was only Dan's, and like had an actual website that you
No way.
like it was a link that you clicked on. It the feed was from our team riders Instagram, and so
No
we did
way.
an only Dan's, and then this
Oh, I
one we
pulled the
didn't
wrong way.
do. Trying to think of where they're at. Here's one right here. We're like, since we did
Ow.
only Dan's, we had to do the dance hug. So
That is incredible.
those did not. Yeah, we didn't put a bunch of those out for obvious reasons. But
I feel like
if you were an
parents.
adult and you went to an event that we sponsored, you probably got one.
I've seen those around. The only Dan's meme was hilarious. I agree. That is too funny. Almost good here. The quality is about to make a very, very drastic change in my camera because this camera is like 1,000 times better than the one I had on.
Nice.
Let's see. I got some playing cards here. That's a
I think
good
we did
one.
that one for a lot of the stickers designed back then were actually from company events that we did. So every year we'd have a company like I guess it's like a local company picnic type thing where everyone from
Mm-hmm.
Dan we'd meet at one spot and have dinner and do games and that kind of thing. And it was always themed. And I think that was the one where it was themed to be like a casino.
Oh, yeah. I just found a really, really good one that I didn't see. Sorry.
Oh, the Grand Theft Auto. We should probably bring that one back.
Why
Since,
not, right? I mean, you could
yeah,
do all
since
these again,
GTA's
couldn't you?
and they're making another GTA. We should probably bring that one back.
Yeah. And I mean, aren't they like, I mean, couldn't you redo any of these in theory?
Yeah, yeah.
So I have more here, not stickers, but I just think this is going to be super fun since we've gone through like the bulk of the Dan's comp conversation, you know?
Yeah.
I've got something I think would be really fun to take a look at quickly because in addition to having all of my stickers from being a kid, I also have all of my Dan's Comp order forms
Oh shit.
as being a kid.
What's
So
the oldest one?
we're gonna find out. Look at this. No way.
Oh yeah.
Can I use this code? It only expired in 2015. Free shipping on orders $50 or more. Dude, that is so funny.
That's awesome that you kept that stuff.
Dude, I have all of them, I think. All right, so what's that? Oh,
Some of those I might actually be in.
how would you know?
If it just saw, I'd have to see the photo.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I have other stuff in here too. I basically just kept like everything like this as I was growing
Nice.
up riding. Okay, so there's actually quite a bit more than Dan's comp in here. All right, let's see here. The oldest we've got 2015, 2013,
Yeah, I was there
13,
for all that.
12. I think 12 might be as old as it gets.
Did you ever call in and place orders,
Oh
or did you
man,
call it only online?
I feel like I probably did it all online.
Okay, so that's where I started, was actually customer service. So we would get, well, sales and customer service. So people would, that was back when people would still call in and place
Nice.
orders over the phone.
Dude, I just found money. Just found 20 bucks. It's because it's got the name or number from our crew in it, 691. All right, here we go. Let me put these in order of date because I think this would be really fun to just go through and,
Oh yeah.
and see what I ordered and when I ordered it because I don't even remember. Man, July 2012 was the oldest one. Okay, so April 18th, 2015, I ordered some Shadow Ravager pedals and
Nice.
a tube. And I got free shipping. Oh, I ordered 5 tubes to get free shipping by
yeah,
going
nice.
over 50 bucks. You know.
Nice.
Okay. Let's see. 7 tubes this time. To get over $75 for the
I
free
mean, you can
shipping.
never have too many tubes, so that
Right.
makes sense.
Animal GLH tire and a
Oh, I
Shadow.
rode those for the longest time.
Mm-hmm. Those are awesome back tires. And they were only $13.99.
God, tires now, the price of rubber has gone up. It's insane.
Right. A tube was only $3, which, I mean, depending on where you buy them now, you can get them for close to that still, which is pretty crazy.
Like if you go to Walmart, they typically cost more than buying it from us. Like we still try to keep our tubes pretty cheap.
Yeah.
There's like $7, $8 tubes. I think
Yeah.
I've seen $20 tubes at Walmart.
It's crazy. We got a chain breaker replacement pin and a Odyssey or Snafu Astroglide upper cable. Interesting. Brake cables are still almost the same price. This was $11.99 for an upper cable.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
How crazy is that,
I didn't
man?
realize we ordered so much. That's awesome.
Dude, this is not even half of the times that I've ordered too, because I started riding in 2006 and ordered from Dan's until I got like connected with companies in 2013.
Nice.
Let's see. Ooh, this was a shirt load one. Props t-shirt, S&M thermal, still wear that. Odyssey big wheel tee. Don't wear that one anymore because you couldn't read it. That's why it was on sale for 15 bucks.
I always liked that shirt. It was different.
Yeah, I've got
It's
the
the one
one.
I'm thinking of.
I got the one with green print on it, so you literally couldn't read it.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, the Tree 4130 chromoly sprocket, the spline drive one, like one of the first spline drive sprockets that was like, dude, I bent the crap out of 2 of those things.
You know what's funny about that is I worked with Sam over there when they started doing the 22 millimeter.
Uh-huh.
We found out later on because we have a few customers call in, hey, this 22 millimeters 48 spline drive isn't fitting my 22 48 spline cranks.
Oh.
We found out, like I went through all the 22, 48 spline cranks with s- several different spline drive sprockets have found that they cut the teeth differently.
Yep. They still
And
do that kind of stuff.
yeah, it's something to do. I can't remember. It's been so long, but it's something to do with like one of them was a true metric, the other one was standard converted to metric.
5/8 to 22 millimeter,
Yeah,
because 5/8 is really, 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 really close to 22.
yeah, and then ended up that and the splines were cut differently.
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting all that stuff when they started doing that and
Yep.
trying to figure out who's, and you could tell like who used the same manufacturers overseas when I was doing that. It's pretty
Right.
old.
Ooh, so this is one that I did on my buddy's birthday who got me into riding. That's funny. Uh, a Hoffman sprocket because it was on sale for $14,
I remember
along with the tree sprocket. And I ordered a bunch of spokes. The spokes were 35 cents each. That's almost double now. That's so sick. Then just the nipples that came with them. When you used to get, I got 100 spokes for $35. That is a deal today.
this. Mm-hmm.
Oh, check this out. Okay, this is kind of cool. So there's a tube in here, and then I bought the original super slim knee pads from Shadow.
Oh, nice. I just wore those today.
The original ones or the new ones?
Not the original ones, but like super slim.
Yeah, I mean, I literally like ride for them now. So I was an OG supporter.
Nice. I love those dudes over at Sparky's.
Yeah, and those knee pads are the bomb. They're
Yeah.
so good, comfortable, and I have smashed my knee like horribly and been fine.
I'm trying to start wearing pads more now, and the super slims are, in my opinion, the way to go.
They're just so comfy.
Unless you're doing like big box jump stuff
Yeah,
or riding vert or something where you need to possibly end up sliding on your knees.
yeah. Or you
Like,
have an impact from 10
yeah,
feet in the air in
yeah.
those situations. Yeah, maybe.
But for general riding, like the super slims are awesome.
Yeah. Dude, I got free shipping on an order that was $32. That is insane.
We still do something like that. It's like super saver shipping. Like certain stuff is free, automatic free shipping, or
Yeah.
automatic like 99 cents shipping, something like that.
Dude, this one's even cooler because this is the first bike part that Victoria bought me, I think. She bought me a rim, and it's got her
Nice.
name on it, her address, and everything, and I still have it. That's
Which
so
rim
sick.
did you get?
The Quadrant, Odyssey
Oh,
Quadrant.
what rims do you run now? Because you ride for Alienation, right? Or you get hooked up by Alienation?
Yeah, so on the bike I ride at the skate park and street and whatever, I have a Felon on the front and a Vandal on the rear.
Okay.
And the Vandal, I used to ride the Felon on the back until the Vandal came out, and the Vandal holds up for me better than the Felon even did.
See,
So
I ride Felon's front and rear, and man, I've told this story before, but I've legit taken a chunk out of the sidewall of that rim to where you could actually see inside the rim, and we trued it up, and I rode it like that for a lot longer than I should have. I
yeah,
swear by those things. I
oh
haven't
yeah.
tried the Vandal. I need to.
I mean, I loved the Felon. I
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
ride them for years to get them to a point where I needed to replace the rim,
yeah.
and the Vandal is even better. You know?
I'm gonna have to check it out then next time I need it. But I just built up a new wheel not long ago,
Yeah.
so I'm probably not gonna need it for a while. But yeah, I swear by those things. I was actually, because it's funny because you ride for Alienation, because I was one of the testers for the tubeless system.
Nice.
So that's why I started riding Felon rims,
Yeah.
because they're tubeless.
That's
And ever
awesome.
since then, I'm like, damn, these are legit.
Yeah.
They're strong.
Uh, so there was a question here, and I feel like I already know the answer, but somebody asked, how old do they still have order info? Do you have
Not, I mean,
any?
from the old,
Yeah,
like old ownership, none.
there you go. That's a bummer. I would love
Yeah,
to
it sucks.
know
Like that
what
was
I
part of
ordered.
it. Yeah, like I think they got just like a handful of them,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what sucks is they don't have. I guess it was they were supposed to, but that never.
Yeah.
I don't know what transpired there, but yeah, they didn't get anything. So since like October 2019 or November 2019 is when it starts.
Right. So the last one here, I just bought a cable hanger and then another one of those chromoly spline drive sprockets because I bent the crap out of the first. Or no, this was the first one. The other one was the second one because I bent the crap out of that thing casing on a big quarter. Man, you know what? I'm gonna look through this. I've always been a frugal shopper online. Not a single one of these has a charge for shipping.
Well, I don't blame you.
Yep.
We always have coupons out there too. Not like trying to be that guy. Like well, I guess it is the company I work for, but there we do have like if you go to just search Google search Dancecom coupons, we've got a whole page that's updated every month with promo codes, and then plus every now and then we'll post stuff on social media like special codes or that we have and things
Right.
like that.
Which is, I mean, everybody does that. So
Yeah.
it's not any different than what everybody else does anymore. That was a fun walk down memory lane.
That
This is
was-
my
that was pretty
sticker
cool.
bag from
Nice.
forever. I'm gonna do a video just going through that, but I gotta I can't show any of those order forms because they have my address on
Oh, yeah.
them.
Yeah, I've got similar thing with bags of stickers of like brands that like limited edition stuff that brands did. Do you remember that animal sticker? That was always my favorite. The one that said something about obligatory giant sticker for photo contingency. It was this big of an animal sticker. It said
That's
animal
great.
real big or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was hilarious.
I don't remember seeing that, but it's really funny.
I think that was one of those that I just kind of lucked out. Where they sent us a handful of them or whatever.
Yeah. Phew, man. So, how often, like, you ride, obviously. So, like, what's your riding life like?
I just rode today actually. I mean, I try to ride at least 2 times a week because I've got a family, wife, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also that's like for fun. I try to ride 2 times a week, and then like for videos, sometimes I have to film like a clip for like B-roll or if I'm filming like um, a trick how to or something like that, then I'll ride a little bit like that. But riding for a video for me is different from riding for fun.
Right.
So, but yeah, for fun, I'm at least twice a week.
Nice. That's awesome. Where are you riding a lot at? Like, what types of stuff?
Streets like where I love riding street. I think just because that's what I grew up riding. But um, I like transition a lot just because you don't have to really do a whole lot. I'll go to the park and literally just like flow around, do tabletops and turn downs, and just be totally satisfied just doing that or boosting a quarter or whatever. Like I'll ride a skate park and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Every now and then I'll get like a wild hair and try to do some lines, but I normally I just kind of flow around at a skate park.
Nice.
But a street's like the main thing that I really enjoy.
But dude, nobody who rides or works for Dan's rides bikes.
Right? As I rode today with another coworker.
I love it. That's funny. Nice, man. You ever ride trails?
We have some trails that were built by some mountain bikers. So well they have mountain bikers and like the dirt jump bikes is what they have. So they don't have really good lips on them.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty small, but we do have like trails nearby. They're just not very prominent, so we don't ride them a whole lot. But I will certainly ride trails. It takes me a bit to get comfortable at trails, just because I'm so used to riding like a transition, like a concrete or like a smooth concrete or metal transition that's consistent.
Yeah.
And you know how dirt gets if they're not well maintained, they just kind of suck
Yeah.
sometimes. So if you get out there at the right time after they've really groomed them, and we've done it like taking a shovel out there ourselves and done it, but yeah, not a whole lot of that around here. We're supposed to be getting a new skate park, so I'm in southern Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
in the Evansville area. So we're actually they're supposed to break ground. They announced it last year, but they're supposed to break ground summer of 2023, and it's supposed to be Indiana's largest outdoor concrete park. It's
Nice.
going to be about 15 minutes from me.
Can't beat
So
that.
once that is built, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, we should next year for our trail gym. Should get you guys to come out and just be there.
Yeah, because you're really not that far. Like I feel like we've probably been to a lot of the same stuff, just not at the same time.
Yeah.
Because we're really not that far from us.
How far are you from Ray's? That can tell me real quick.
Oh God, Ray's is it's you can drive there, ride, and drive back home, but you're getting back home midnight, 1 a.m. type thing.
Yeah.
It's I'd have to look at it. It's not like a short drive. It's more than I want to say. It's definitely more than 4 hours.
Okay. Well, however far Ray's is from you, I'm an hour less than that.
Okay, so I just off the top of my head, I think it's 6 hours, but I'm not positive.
Gotcha. I drove.
I've only rode there one time.
Yeah.
I had a blast there, but or maybe it was twice. But yeah, it was a blast. The place is awesome.
Yeah. How far are you from Kentucky?
So I'm like literally right on the border of Illinois and Kentucky. So when we ride,
Uh,
we typically go to Kentucky, or we'll go to even Missouri, like ramp riders. When it haven't been there in a while, but when it gets cold out, go to ramp riders. We did have a short-lived indoor park about an hour or so from me that unfortunately closed. It was enough to like satisfy the itch when it was snowing outside. You
mm-hmm.
drive there. It was built by skateboarders, so everything was smaller, but they were cool with bikes there. So I'd go
Nice.
there. So I didn't have a reason to really drive like 2.5 hours. Because that's what sucks about where I'm at is the nearest the nearest like decent park is about an hour, and you've seen that. It's the concrete park, and if you guys have watched any of the Dan's videos, it's the concrete park there that is with multiple videos. That's about an hour from me. But anything, and that's a pretty small concrete park. That's in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Gotcha.
Anything else like Louisville is 2.5 hours, or yeah, 2 hours away. Ramp Riders is 2.5 hours away in St. Louis. Bowling Green, I like that park a lot, but that's also 2.5 hours. Everything is in a 2.5 hour drive from me.
Gotcha. Bowling Green skate park is sweet.
I like that park
I
a
rode
lot.
there
We're
one
actually
time.
talking about going next weekend.
Nice. Nice, man. On that note, what's the future look like for Dan's? What you guys got cooking up that you could talk about?
Uh, Definitely gonna do some more. We brought the Dan's Jam back. Instead of doing a parking lot jam and building all the ramps there, we did it in. I'm trying to think of it. It was Bloomington, if I remember right. Bloomington has a new indoor park just called the Warehouse,
Mm-hmm.
and it was super cool. You guys, if you want to check out that video, Joe Battaglia came out. Um, like we had a pretty good turnout for like the first one back,
Yeah.
and so that Bloomington has two outdoor parks plus that indoor park. So that was fun. We're gonna do more of that and hopefully make it even bigger this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely have some big plans in the works that I can't really talk about, but it should be pretty huge I'm really excited about it. Um, More video parts from, see, Matt Ray we just dropped a Matt Ray edit last month, which was awesome. He and Jonah did amazing on that video. And let's see, he's got a bike check video coming out in
Nice.
December. And it's funny because, like, most bike checks, it's the guy rides and then he rides a little bit, clip, here's my bike, clip here, clip there.
Yeah.
He filmed like a legit full-on park edit before he even gets into the bike, which was like, you don't see that. So I was pretty stoked on that.
Nice.
So that'll be coming out. We've got some special things in the work with Matt that'll also be dropping around that same time. And yeah, some changes to the team that I'm hoping will come to fruition. So yeah, we definitely have some plans for 2023 that I'm really excited about.
Nice, man.
Some of it right now is we're just at the planning stages of getting everything, but I'll let you know for sure once we get closer.
Yeah, that's cool. So I got a couple small more questions here. One I just remembered somebody asked earlier and I forgot to ask. Was Poverty a dance comp company?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they started Poverty. That's an interesting question. They started Poverty as a response to the fact that at the time there wasn't a whole lot of companies that were doing budget-minded parts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the whole part of the Poverty $1.99.
Yeah.
Like $1.99, it was $1.99. That's where the name came from. The Poverty G-Ride, like the whole point of that was because these companies, if they came out with a complete bike at the time, there wasn't any budget-minded bikes that were actually good.
Yeah.
You had like essentially a Walmart bike, which was junk. We all know that. Like,
Right.
it is what they are. If it gets you into BMX, that's great, but you know how it is.
Yeah.
So they had like budget-minded bike. It's like, okay, this is a legitimate BMX bike that you could really start riding with, and it's going to hold up pretty decent for you. And then all the higher-end brands had higher-end complete bikes. Well, eventually, those brands saw that was a good idea, and that they could actually start selling budget-minded bikes without ruining the name of their company or anything like that. And I think that was a lot of it back then, in the early 2000s. Is some of these brands were really worried that it would hurt their image,
Yeah.
having like more budget-friendly stuff. But finally, they came around and that's why we stopped doing Poverty, because we're not going to try to compete against these brands that we're also trying to support.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So at the time, that's why we did it, but that's why you don't see it. We still have the name Poverty, so it's still licensed. So if I've talked about like jokingly bringing some stuff back. I don't know what that looks like, but I'd like to do remember the Poverty penny sprocket?
Literally, someone just said the Poverty penny logo sprocket was sick. So yes.
I would love to do that again in like a 25, 27 tooth. I ride 27 tooth, and it's pretty uncommon. So,
yeah, that's weird, dude.
Yeah, 27 9. 28's just a little too much, but 27 is perfect. A little more top speed.
That's funny.
But just doing something like that would be awesome. I don't know if we're ever going to get around to doing it, but I'd love to do something like that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Because we still have the name, so.
Well, it's there then. So the next question thing, I definitely think you should bring Poverty back, at least for some fun stuff, because there's no reason not to.
Some retro stuff.
Yeah. But my buddy Sponge, he said, I'd be curious how someone with a smaller company can get things sold on the Dan's platform, if that's even possible. Do they go out looking for product to sell, or do people approach them?
Both. So if we come across something that's like super unique, we've reached out to those companies and said, hey, let's try to work out something. And other times people just reach out to us. So if you just want to email, it's like general customer service, they'll forward you to the right person.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely do that. We've done that with multiple brands in the past, um, and like people making their own videos. We've done
Mm-hmm.
that, like a riding crew,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. We've done that. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible.
You just basically, if you're a person or a company, to reach out to the proper channels, and if it makes sense, then I'm
Yeah.
sure it probably would happen.
The hard part is being a smaller company. Like if you're just trying to get your foot in the door, what we look for is how are you supporting BMX? So like, do you have a team? Are you throwing jams? Like, what are you doing to try to give back to BMX at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's like, you know, I mean, I'm just throwing an example out there, but maybe you have like a stem. Well, everyone has a stem that looks exactly like your stem,
Right.
but nobody knows of your company, and you don't have a team. Like it's just a, a stem that looks like everybody else's. Probably not going to do that because everyone has all these other choices of like a brand name, stem that's just like it. So why would we do that? But I don't know. If it's something different and unique, then absolutely. We've done that a bunch.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, so I thought that was a really good question. So,
Yeah.
something to bring up. Then another part of it too is, do they market to different age groups? Which is an interesting concept in 2022, because I feel like we have more older riders coming back into
Yeah.
BMX than ever before.
I don't know. We don't really like market we don't split it up or anything.
Yeah.
Like what you see is going to be throughout all the platforms. We do like just any other, like our competitors, we work with a third party that will do like, if you see
Oh,
those ads,
Google
the little,
ads.
yeah, like everyone does those. So
Right.
that's third party stuff, but it's not really like targeted towards age group.
Right. That makes sense. So on that note, you guys should pick up an older rider for the team who's absolutely killing it in the Midwest or wherever, I guess. There you go.
I mean, yeah,
There
there
you
you
go.
go.
That's my marketing advice from my marketing brain. But that's a really cool thing. Is anyone else already ordering parts? Listen, wait. I'm gonna get a promo code from
Yeah,
Dave.
I'll link it too. Actually, yes.
No, I meant for me so that I can
Oh, gotcha.
my affiliate code. Wait. No.
Okay, yeah, you do your thing. You do your thing.
I don't have I don't have it. We'll figure that out. Maybe that'll be a thing in the future. But this has been a really informative talk though, and I appreciate like the transparency and the in-depth like conversation about specific topics.
Cool. Yeah, no, thanks for letting me like kind of set the record straight, I guess. That kind of thing. And yeah, it's all about transparency. It's like I said, same like core company, just the better backing and obviously even more riders. In fact, I think we're actually, so anybody out there listening, we're actually hiring for another BMX specific customer service rep. And I think we've got one position open in Chico, where we're located, Chico, California, and then also another one that is remote. So if you're big into BMX and you know your shit, like apply. It's at the bottom of the DanceComp website. I think there's a like employment opportunities or something like that. So if anybody is interested, for sure, like just hit us up and apply.
Well, guys, it's been a great run on YouTube. I'm gonna go be a Dan's Comp customer service rep. There will be no more videos ever, and sorry.
Thanks for inviting me on this. This is fun.
Absolutely. I think I'm just impressed with the way that everything has gone from the Dans that people saw as things were turning downwards to being purchased by A Main and just making a complete 180. This is going to be the last thing. Do you feel like Dan's as a company is in a similar or better position than it was like at the peak of when you were there before?
Better.
Better. There you go.
And yeah, it's really the multiple reasons, but yeah, better.
Okay. That's awesome. And this dude JFCMTB in the chat said, "I've got over 20 years of customer service experience. I'm in. Listen,
There you go.
get connected, and I'll send you guys an invoice for the finder's fee." No, but it's been a good chat, and just shout out where your Instagram and stuff so people can follow you if they're interested, and the dance stuff.
Sure, yeah. Obviously, Instagram for Dan's is just at Dan's Comp Instagram. We're on TikTok now. That's the thing. Dan's_comp for TikTok. Facebook, obviously. My personal one is Mikey_likes_bikes on Instagram.
There we go. And the Dance Comp website is obviously danscomp.com.
Yep.
So that's it. Thanks for tuning in to this one. I got the
Thanks,
news 10 a.m. tomorrow, and then directly following the news, I'm doing a live with Sponge. And we're just going to chat.
Nice.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning
Thanks,
in.
everyone.
Everybody. Thanks to Mike E. Likes Bikes. And we'll see you in the morning.
Peace.